Sticks and stones. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but words, in the right mouth, at the right time, with the right heart, can start a revolution. That the only word you can think of is yes. And in the face of injustice, they can give you the power to say no. Please welcome, from New York City, Aziza Barnes, Safia El Hilo, Sean Mega DeVings, and Kimon Felix, the Divine Fabrics Collective.
If I'm kind of a poet, I'm kind of responsible. James Baldwin. Today I said I would write my own healing. Today I found my strength hidden behind a mountain, pretending to hoard a season of militancy, but really, my skin is the maxed visa before a credit check. My body ain't for sale today. Today, I will tell the mirror the God honest about how ugly the simple can get, how I need anger to be not of this body. This skeleton is a dangerous quote of reason. I cannot tell you why I wear this anonymity, but I can tell you how it will not last. I can tell you about how sword-like this hurt is. It is the severing of my appendix from my fist. It is in the way I break, except never in pieces. A ruptured heart made me wish to be in love, but now I know that I am kneeling in it. Time is only the wonderment of the catastrophe in your own death, so when my body is found, tell them that I walk this tightrope with a steel foot and a bartered voice. Tell them how I owe my win to my mother, to how she knows what it means to will someone into themselves. Tell them how she shoved my heart back into my chest. Tell them how she loved me into loving myself. Tell them that I wrote the moon, that I wanted for nothing but received it all. Tell them that my sadness was the fault of no one but the christening of a newness that I could not love, not in this body. Today, I needed a reason to be here. Presence is not the calling of roll. It is standing without the dependence of leads. It is the explosion of a new hymn in a room of death. It is knowing the call of summer while holding the spring of right now in your mouth. Presence is a carousel at the right speed. Presence is in knowing that your faith was here. It is in knowing where it went. It is in knowing how to get it back. I am the reason why my closet is a sky full of closeted bones, but I know where to rest my head when the bed is lonely. I can love the silence because I know that it will still be here, even if the next wound is the loudest. Today, I needed a reason to walk, told the ground how sick I am of crawling. If I'm a poet, then I'm kind of responsible. If I'm speaking, then I'm kind of responsible. If you can hear me, then you're kind of responsible. If you're responsible, we're all poets. And if we're poets, we got a whole nother world to save then, don't we?
Hey, y'all.
How y'all doing? Y'all good?
Y'all good? You can make noise. Make some noise. Wake up. Yes. Thank you. Yeah, just like some housekeeping rules. You can, if you hear something that's like real fly, you can be like, ooh, ah, yes. Noise is welcome. We are not in the library. Look where we at. We're in a whole other room with the lights and stuff. All right. So y'all know about Aunt Jemima, lady on the pancakes. Yeah, so she's the lady on the syrup and on the pancake batter.
Yeah. And then there's Uncle Ben.
Y'all know Uncle Ben?
A box of rice. Y'all know Uncle Ben, right? We met them.
We met them. And this will happen.
Yep.
Leaning online at Webster Hall, me and Aunt Jemima sucking our teeth, watching a series of wax legs and hang time Remy's pass us up and into ladies' night.
Me and Uncle Ben waiting online too. We both got on bow ties.
He got on half a bow tie because Tom ate the other half.
We stepped to the bouncer, a necklace nobody in all black gripping a scanner.
ID, please.
Aunt Jemima throw up 3 death certificates and a bottle with her face on it.
Uncle Ben pulls rice out of his pocket and says he's a farmer.
This don't tell me about y'all. They tell you all I got.
I need something that'll scan.
I got a barcode on my foot. I need something with your age.
If you keep rice dry, it doesn't age.
Syrup don't tend to spoil. I ain't got time for this. No name, no entry. Dude, her name's Jemima.
Then shimmies off the line, then bumps into the wrong guy. I know this old man ain't just bump into me.
And Jemima's tongue start rolling out like she was gonna give a name up.
Ben says, I ain't old, another pause. His lips, a pair of questions that cannot be answered.
Her tongue is a noose that can't be untied. The bouncer curses as I untangle her. We hobble down the steps, figuring the club wasn't meant for women like us or we for it. Take me somewhere I can be nobody at the IHOP on 14th and 3rd.
Me and Uncle Ben order food while we wait for the ladies.
I grip Jemima's hand, I look down.
Once we start talking, I notice grains of cardboard falling out of his eyes, dashes of rice spilling onto the floor.
I feel ooze, look up and catch her eyes. They lock on each tilt and release of syrup, calculate every table that requires her brand of sweet.
I say, man, snap out of it. You're not just a collection of fibers that make a face. You're Uncle Ben. But each time I call him Uncle, he tilts over as if he's being emptied against his own will.
With each pour, she seems to lose a limb. You ain't know my name yet?
They always called me Uncle, just so they never had to call me Mister.
Her face is falling onto my shoulder, plastered like roadkill to a road. You think I'm just a field holler?
What you cannot see on a box is how I pulled rice out of the field with hands the size of my pride.
Jemima thundered hollow till she piled. A havoc of glaze at the foot of the 24-hour breakfast spot, clinging to my frame from the waist down. You think I'm just a one body? I never had that problem. I was only built to be empty.
Why don't you just name yourself?
They would still own my face. I didn't mean to make you angry.
Ben says.
Jemima says.
I'm not angry. And even if I were, you couldn't tell by looking at me.
Hi.
Today I go to yoga in the morning, fry an egg for breakfast, go to a jazz show, then to an apartment in Brooklyn to drink pomegranate juice and flirt with all the boys. I have not heard from my mother in 3 days, or my brother. They live in Egypt. I watch the news and spend every breath of prayer in me on scraping their faces off the pictures of the injured, on smudging my brother's dimples and gap teeth off the crumpled bodies smeared across my television, on melting my mother's small hands and lilting accent off the gunshots marked maps, their drilling conquest through skin and fat and bone. I pray my mother, 5 feet tall and soft-eyed, away from the looters, from the salty rot of human flesh set ablaze by walls of buildings once called home. I beg my brother, 6'2" and 16 years old, away from the police, their batons, their thirst for the crack of weapon against bone, a percussion whose mere thought lodges itself like a talon in my gut, births in me a fear of music I never thought I'd know, the crackling of old records, a mocking echo of burning skin, fists hammering skull into the most breakable piano. This is not a vague political statement to make my Twitter look worldly. There are no t-shirts for this. This is not a poem. This is my mother, my brother. I've spent my whole life experiencing bloodshed in theory, from a comfortable desk an ocean away, without a face to put to the loss, no names native to my throat, just the people, an abstract mass of brown and bone and air. This isn't abstract anymore. I don't know where my mother is. I don't know if my brother is alive. There are stories of Sudan today, of tear gas, futile punishment for a culture suckled for years by tears and blood. There are stories of the festering exasperation of a people, of a generation that knows nothing better than the strain of bated breath against the throat. My cousins have been arrested for protesting. We do not know where they are being held. My cousins, No different from me, but for the fact that I got out, that I was born to the woman who escaped to America. This is all that separates them from a life of sneakers and poetry slams and short skirts and house parties. This is all that separates me from an adolescence in a police state, from women beaten in the street for wearing pants in public and allowing their wild curls to creep out from underneath their headscarves. So when asked where I was the day the world caught fire, what I was doing while fate closed a skin-thick distance between my family's blood and the open sky, I have no real answer. I have Brooklyn. I have jazz. I have boys. Distraction enough to pretend that somewhere, in the gut of the storm that my family is from, blood does not pour in silken sheets, in oceans, tangling all the breath in my throat. Nowhere is America enough to distract me from this. Woo!
This is how I challenge diabetes to a fight. Yo, I caught you trying to take my mother's feet. You made Aunt Glenda's arms open up in the bathroom. Blood ran the floor like a point guard. My mother's side of the family is literally dying in vain. Do you feel like a dictator every time my Aunt Glenda has to check her sugar before she eats a meal? Every prick of her fingers is a stab to the ribs for me. Sometimes she asks me to prick her fingers for her, and I never want to. You can't help somebody with something that does not work. That's like trying to sweep a floor with a prayer. You make every prayer for my family feel like a bad joke about black people. I caught you on Thanksgiving, kicking your feet up in a plate of sweet potatoes, living room filled with saints with anvils for ankles. There were more pills on the table than crumbs of cornbread, a melancholy so large I could call it a continent. Mom called, said she had a 4th stroke in 2 years. All of a sudden you call yourself a stroke? That's your rapper name? Or diabetic neuropathy. That's what you call yourself in the gym when you flex your muscles. Mom loses vision in her left eye. My Uncle Tyrone is dead. Call yourself what you really are. Subtraction. Your minus sign is an empty insulin needle. You're a punk. All you do is wait in veins. But I know where you live, and I know what you live off of. See, you ain't nothing but sugar. Sugar ain't nothing but a chain of glucose. See, you're just a chain, but you ain't no ball and chain. You ain't got the balls to chain me. Please, stay away from my Aunt Glenda. I love her so much, I used to call her mother by accident on purpose. And now, her kidneys are 2 deadbeat fathers married to the same woman. You know, you look like the bully I had my first fight with in the 5th grade. My punches wouldn't hurt him, so I put him in a headlock and tried to pull the cornrows off his scalp. That night, there were still strands of his hair stuck in my fingernails. People get desperate when they try to get rid of things.
Hypnophobia, a fear of sleep, a fear of dreaming. Someone is choking you while you sleep. It is your English teacher, the one who wears those awful khaki pants that show his manhood everything. He cackles over your bed, your skin, that hot piece of coal. Someone must have cut off the wire, the one connecting your brain to your backhand. Not even an eyelid will save you. He hears your heart. He can't stand the pulse of it, the off-putting way you want to save yourself. He rolls up his sleeve and tunnels his arm down your throat, uproots your heart, says to you, eat it. You are an unstitched doll, learning her parts as she loses them. I am not afraid of the knife. I am afraid of its obligation. To close your eyes and unleash that tight fist of knowing I could not have been born this way. For every fear there is said to be a triggering effect. Someone holding a gun saying, this may be my fault, but it's still your story. A fear of sleep is a fear of losing control. In my hometown, there was a girl up the street that knew every part of you is a mouth. Look at you. How open you are.
How your body can only say yes to me. Look how your fight forgot you. I can never land a punch in my dreams, never rip my attacker apart nail by nail and see how helpless that house was. I'm not a fair fight. I don't know a lot of words. I don't know how to say I slept with every man after you and woke up on fire. I don't know how to say everyone in my dreams is born of you. I don't know how to say you cannot have me. Not now. Not again. Don't sleep by yourself. There must be some part of you that don't trust the rest of you. Try to find someone who don't want to gouge out her eyes just to make sense of the dark. This was never about finding someone to share the bed with. I am not lonely. I am not the weak calling my sickness the tyranny. What I fear is what I can't hold. What I would win the world for. Woo!
Hope you guys like music.
Right. Oh my God. So, y'all know about jazz? Are you familiar with the concept? Do you like it? This is a random survey. All right.
This poem has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, well, yeah. We met somebody who had an opinion about it.
And we had an opinion back.
Yeah. To the girl in my jazz class who said recognizing bebop jazz as black music was, quote, degrading, a reduction of the art.
First of all, take a nap.
Eat a sandwich.
Or do any of the other things that go under the heading of not talking.
Oh, I'm sorry, you couldn't be racist.
You voted for Obama.
Your freshman year roommate was black.
You listened to Beyonce.
If I beat her with my shoe, is that a black fight or did I just punch you with my foot?
Well, since we're in a colorblind society, her black eye will not actually be a black eye. It will be just an eye.
Color blindness does not make you a martyr for racism.
It does not make you mature. It does not fix the problem.
You are looking me in the eye without calling me what I am.
You make me think my skin is something to be graduated from.
That if I can just get over this black thing,
then we can really get down to being civilized.
It seems you have forgotten what the word civilized has done to a face like mine.
How I was told that I could only be a savage.
A mockery of a bastard, bled into America's first concentration camp.
How any art my people made was considered primitive, unsophisticated, barely art if at all.
Until you took a liking to it. Until we became coded in this English. Until you found a way to mock our stories into your pockets.
When our voices were torn from us, bleached and shoved back into our mouths as a language that does not set a place for us at its dinner table, we still found words.
We hid our humanity like contraband, buried our lungs in your instruments, your saxophones and pianos, caught this music like a sickness, molded it until our mother's name seeped out of every note, and you called her Mammy.
This sound was not entertainment.
This was finding a caress and a backhand slap. This was doing all we could to speak without a mouth.
And now you say we are not deserving of this art of ours? That our stories have outgrown us and gone uptown in a fur coat, found better company. This music...
This was not an accident.
This is not something we stumbled upon while making our primitive tribal art. You do not invite beauty into your home without asking it its birthplace.
You will not make an orphan of our music.
We are a people that have already given birth to too many orphans.
We're the ones who went away, the ones who had our reflections swallowed out of every mirror. When you're put in a country, told that nothing is yours but you make something. Its voice isn't loud, but it's yours. Only to be told that in making it that you are degrading.
Reduction of the art.
So what can I have? What will make you feel more comfortable?
Would you like me to stop being black so I can stop reducing my art to black art?
My apologies for putting my name on a music that is so dear to you.
That you pulled from the cold air of a country that is not your mother and molded with your bare hands.
That you built a home out of a land that only knows how to bury you. That you forged family with those who share your skin. I am so sorry for undermining your struggle.
Art is a people's proof that they existed.
Why are you trying to wash all the color out of this story? Why is it a story you want so badly to own? Woo!
Okay. More black poems.
You're not going to get a break at all.
So this poem has a little bit of current events tied to it. In 2012, at a Republican National Convention, 2 Republicans were thrown out of the convention because they were seen throwing peanuts at a black camerawoman from CNN while saying, "This is how we feed the animals." That really happened. This is how the camera responded. After the incident, every black person in America went to Black Power headquarters to figure out the most effective course of action. Once they were there, the silhouette of a fist and an actual fist held a staring contest against each other to prove which one was the more useless. CNN gave it 3 paragraphs and didn't even include the woman's name. I thought that was horrible. But I had to stop and correct myself. CNN did a much better job than me if you think about it. If she was holding me the whole time, then I was in front of her, which means I never even saw her. It's my fault that she's faceless. I'm just glad that she didn't drop me in a spell of fury as the peanuts came flying. Much like racism, I am not an easy repair. Perhaps black people would be more formidable if they were rebuilt into video cameras. Boxes with circuits if they were run on batteries. What if black people were actually the color black and not just shades of brown that ad-lib the darkness? Maybe then things would not be thrown at them out of fear. It would crack the lens. If on the camera every record button was replaced with a riot button, a revolt for every rewind. If we were successful enough, we could create a brand new race war. The cameras versus the conservatives. What if black people were able to acquire images the way America's forefathers acquired land? What if black people were like me, having to be held over shoulder to be maneuvered, knees slightly bent for more control of the device, which is to say they'd be too heavy to be manipulated. But I'm getting ahead of myself here, aren't I? Heavy. Black don't even make the news. What makes you think it could hold weight? What makes you think that a black man that stands by a peace rally and a camera on standby mode don't both carry the same inactivity? A camera is only as good as a king, for it can see the tragedy but cannot stop it. But when the debris settles, I'll be the only thing around with privilege. I'll be the only thing able to say, hey, I saw the whole thing.
Y'all remember Aunt Jemima, right? Yeah, she ain't going nowhere neither. This is when I first met her.
So, me and Aunt Jemima walk into a bar, right? And she had bit on a mason jar for her nose to fall in. But her teeth, fingers, and ears all left in the glass, migrating from their rancid host. By the time she sat at the bar, old girl barely had a face. And my dumb self starts giggling right, and I go, oh no! I know you. You bottle shuck and jive. You Uncle Tom with a side of pancakes. You made it Gone with the Wind. You Bojangles for breakfast. You Amos and Andy Light. You sell hate syrup. You slave gone corporate. You black power fist with a hole in it. You minstrelsy's mistress. You blackface on butter. You oppression. You Uncle Ben Shoddy on the low. You everybody mammy. You.
Her skin has melded to the bar by now, and I can see through Auntie J. The muscle she got left shivers on her bones like a saltfish trying to understand air. She sits now the one way I never pictured her, thin and white. Without eyes, she looks at me hard, applies a set of lips to her skull, spits. Quit talking like you know black in the box it came in. You don't know what it is to smile for all them folks, to rot
in everybody home except yours, to watch they children, to hear them call you mama, to be hated by your own for trying to find a way out, to feed your enemy for a century and a quarter, to have them profit you while you die slow. You don't know me. I try to console a has-been of blackness, tell her I didn't mean it, that I'm just a brown girl, half-breed mutt that don't know her place, don't know how to hold her tongue or respect the dead. I look up at her, ready to cry out some sweet forgiving, but my hand is nailed to the bar, nailed to the chest, my whole body pierced in rust. I cry, yo, Jemima, what is this? Her teeth form a smile at the bottom of her mason jar. Rot with me. I am your kin. You come from me. And when they bury you, you'll have my face.
How many of y'all have had to do jobs that you just didn't want to do? Like all the time, right? Tell me it's not the worst thing that's ever happened to you. It's probably not the worst thing that's ever happened to you. However, it sucks. I'm fairly dramatic, so I'm going to pretend that it's the worst thing that's happened to me anyway. So I used to be a nanny, and I'm not, well, I mean, used to makes it sound like it was like 5 years ago. It was like 7 months ago, but that's okay. It don't really matter. And so when you, as writers, we wind up writing a lot about what's happening in the moment, even though we don't necessarily intend to. So this is one of those. The Nanny Diaries. At work, we are discussing the winter schedule. During the pregnant nanny's maternal leave, I will be her full-time stand-in. Our bosses hint at what she lacks, hint that I make up for it in intellect and charm. I could substitute the 2 previous adjectives for the word white and nothing would change. My boss says, Kimon is my pretty other half. Her wealthy friends ask, do you know any others like Kimon? Implication, those who walk the quilt of brown respectability, the mixed breed, the white enough. The other nanny is much better at 3rd grade math than I am, but her patois bleeds into the American English she picked up in passing, so Ryan can only do homework with me. I recognize the dead scales decline, see the noise bending in my direction. A young black girl comes in to interview for the part-time position, and I play stand-in mammy. She doesn't enunciate her words in the same tonal frame as I do, not yet hip to the game. My boss says, I just want to help her, you know, and I can't believe that I am an aid to this. A static in the misuse of martyr, a passenger on the white horse. I'm conflicted now, because I don't want her to work here, don't want her to be compared to me. Does that make me elitist or dangerously maternal? I can't tell now. All the storm driving rapid to my face. I don't even know how to not hug her and tell her that 19 is too young to start carrying children, that it comes later on, in college, in an ethics class, when she realizes that the bricks have not stopped falling or tarnishing the gold. The entire world is indeed bathing in a starved red. Being brown and girl is a bullet of rage. The pistol is the first child you put to bed. They ask her to commit to a background check. She doesn't know why, but I do. My whole body knows. My body is a cold well where all the hope goes drowning. I think, let not another brown body in service walk through this penthouse. I am only but so malleable, all the knowing sizing in around my neck. How long must I survive this series of constant othering, of being the exception, the unsafe example, a stroke of gray marking a wall of white, white, white.
We're gonna do some short poems now.
Yeah, short poems, short and sweet.
Because we're in the age of Twitter.
Okay.
We are a generation of Twitter.
We are. Okay. Book poem or phone poem? Phone poem? Okay, cool. This poem is a persona poem in the voice of a saxophone.
What's a persona poem?
A persona poem is a poem where you are definitely not speaking in your voice, but you're speaking in the voice of someone else.
Or
a thing or something. So this is a poem called Unlucky Building as Albert Eiler's Saxophone. Albert Eiler was a famous saxophonist in Europe. He did a lot of free jazz and improv stuff. So this is Poem about that. I am where the hum went to prove its humanity. A dark house obeying spit and gust, one door always open. I was better than a throat. It tightens and the vocal folds hemorrhage. I shout, don't be alarmed. I wasn't afraid when a man blew hallelujahs inside of me and then women unhinged their blouses. Coltrane didn't understand this. I taught him. He shook the first time he held me. Most swordsmen did. Others wept as if they had a nightmare on their mouth, cursing gods that didn't exist, and swore that as a shadow, my body had taken the shape of their mothers' bodies. This too was freedom, but it was ugly and ignored. We're just screaming about life in its different channels. Before the breath left me, I peeled it raw and tamed it.
Have any of you lost someone? Someone in your family? Someone who was dear to you?
Yes.
All right. I'm going there, so I want to just make sure that, you know, that you're coming with us, yeah. I lost my cousin, and this is what I had to say about it. I could ask, but I think they use tweezers. The shoulder is a complicated organ. Femoral, artery, lymph nodes, tendons, all those joints. If a bullet goes through you, there's also the clothing. Oh yeah, what did you think? I mean, if it's just this, then that's different. But if it's 2 layers of that, those are other impurities. The body does its job, just one function, to release what can't stay. He walked into the ER, smiled. I need a doctor, thanks man. Blood stops moving to the big towns. The brain is a big town. The heart is a big town. The kidneys are hot spots like Vegas, built to handle armies on vacation. The blood learns to bend another way like the legs of a crane. They make bullets different nowadays. In the good old days, a bullet went in and out, the holes matched. Now, a 22, a 48 expands in the body, absorbs like a tampon, function, pull in all life. He was ordering drive-through food, McDonald's food, not really food, maybe like French fries, maybe like a Sprite, maybe like a number 2, things that don't feel like food in the mornings. Down the street from my house, from his mama house, a clog. At the 3rd counter, this guy has a gun. A gun has an operation, has composition, is orchestral, is an organ of some complication, ephemeral. The bullets are small. A shoulder is innocuous until you become a nurse. The only reason he died was speed and proximity. But if it's a couple layers of cloth, well, you have to get that out too. Woo!
The Lovers. Khartoum in the 80s. My mother with ribbons in her hair, dress fanning about her nutmeg calves. My father, who I hear was so lively and handsome that only bad magic could have emptied that and filled him with smoke. The borrowed record player. The generation that would leave to make nostalgia of these very nights, to hyphenate their children and grow gnarled by diasporas every winter. But tonight, Motown crackling in the hot twilight, mosquitoes swaying in the velvet dusk. My parents dance without ever touching.
In offense of America. An envelope laced with ricin tried to find itself into the hands of the president and the mayor of New York City. Oh, the possibilities of poison. The activations from being close enough to a held object to even draw breath triggers its dangers. But that's not what scares me about America. It's the interceptors designing the absence of completion. Look at how logic and time halts the end of the world, prophesied by passers-by at the subway on 42nd Street, and fall in love with that. They're saying Jesus will return, but I never saw him leave. With the way America operates, it wouldn't be in Jesus' best interest to walk upon this country again, expecting welcome back balloons and a complimentary Stevie Wonder playlist. Maybe the Billie Jean illumination effect would work to disengage interception of non-belief. You're afraid of this country? You live where nothing can get close to you without a test. That's probably what's taking the Holy Sun so long, trying to come up with an entrance that can deflect radars and scanners, a way to walk past airport security and have no one notice the holes in his hands. I'll tell you what you should fear. A discontinuation of video games, the prohibition of song, the retirement of prize fighters, leaving us no way to gauge or wager on what we believe is strength, or the day we grind down happiness to a risk-free pill to be sold at pharmacies while unhappiness remains airborne, impossible to track or intercept.
To whom this may concern, this morning I took a bath under an open roof. Check it. Me, dressed in an immature pond looking up at the earth, but school told me to look down on it, so now I know to ask permission. Earth, sky, why you be so glass hungry? Why you be so ready to big up everything? Some things don't deserve cultivation. Let's keep our garden private, just you and me. I live next to a safe house for the deaf. Last night the thunder came without the big light. I was scared for them. How they know when the rain is coming? I know. I always know. My body holds 92% of its own water. I stand in the middle of the street. I buoy. I make my mouth a trademark. I lighthouse. I scream land. I know bones all vibrate with me. You elite. You make me jealous. I don't get jealous. I wear all the nice things and hide. I do wear all the nice things and hide.
Yep.
It's true.
Eulogy for her. I stood over the body of someone I was supposed to love. My aunt and her bones gone brittle. My aunt and her breasts gone, chopped off at the hardness behind them. No marrow would take, no cell would align. She wasn't a nice woman. She left me no good word to say. Had great legs, long. Had a smile I saw in old cheerleading photos. Pulled out my cousin's weave once, smashed her head into a mirror on Christmas. Only one who could make my mom scream over the phone. At the funeral, 30 men came. All in suits, all made speeches, all said, "She was the love of my life. I will take care of her girls." I stood up there and spoke. Like them, I lied.
Did our mothers invent loneliness, or did it make them our mothers? Were we fathered by silence or just looking to explain away this gaping quiet? Is it wasteful or wistful to pray for our brothers in a language they never learned? Whose daughters are we if we grow old before our mothers or for their sakes? They called our grandfathers the January children, lined up by the colonizer and assigned birth years by height. There is no answer because we come from men who do not know when they were born, who married women shown to them in photographs, whose children left the country and tried for romance and had daughters full of all the wrong language. What I learned in the fire. My body is a pill, small, and love is the wrong man's tongue to tell me so. My body dissolves. My body finds men who are water and calls them home. My body is everything that happened to me. Love is a thing my body borrows to forget. Love is a pill. My body is water. My body is a tongue and love dissolves. Love calls the wrong man home. Love makes my body a stain and goes looking for water on the wrong man's tongue. Love is a house. My body is a bath drawn in floodwater. My body trickles in through the floorboards. Love is the carpet that I've ruined. Love is decoration. Love is an alternative to water. Love is just something to do until the wars start. My body is a border drawn up by some man long ago. Love is everything that happened in between. Love is the floorboards. My body is decoration. Love ruined all the carpets. My body is the carpet. My body is the stain. Love makes it all dissolve. Love is an alternative to home. Love is floodwater. My body burned to the ground. My body called the wrong man home. Love started the fire. My body is everything that happened after. The wrong man is an alternative to love. The wrong man is a map. Home is where he puts the lines. My body is a border drawn by accident, by the wrong man's tongue. Love makes scars on my body and calls them borders. The wrong man mistakes my body for a body of water. Love let the wrong man decide what my body mistakes for home. Love started the fire. My body is a house on fire. My body drew a bath in floodwater. The wrong man is floodwater. Love and the wrong man are an alternative to hating my body. My body is a body of water poured over everything that happened to me. My body makes every scar an island. The wrong man makes my body small, a pill. Love makes the water, and my body dissolves.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for hanging in there with us. All right. Y'all with me? All right. How we doing?
Almost done.
We're almost there. You're in it for the finish. Just 2 more poems, and thank you so much for having us. Know what I mean? A small act. This was after a very hard day. Blues bands from Mali, half of a grapefruit, toast saved from burning, Earl Grey and honey, lavender soap, a shower, cocoa butter 'cause you bit your lip, it's okay, it's okay. Hot water, prayer being breath alone, apricot jam, white t-shirt instead of a towel, wooden kitchen table, brushing your teeth one thing at a time. A bad Richard Pryor movie, laughter boiling and fine out of the throat, first laugh in a month, rice and cardamom, whiskey sour's the sexiest drink to order, reading Oscar Wilde out loud, the first chapter of something, buds of tea brewing, cocoa butter 'cause you bit your bottom lip, it's okay, it's okay. Looking at the eye of your own storm, ordering Indian food instead. Beth Israel in a waiting room with a math major from China who can speak better Spanish than you, even though you look Boricua and that makes you mad. Your phone taken away. Please put it in the bag. You can get it later, maybe, depending. Don't worry, I'm here, just outside. Old woman in wheelchair across from you, dancing in muddy Cantonese. Loss of a translator, green smocks. It's okay, it's okay. Don't worry, your sister's here, just outside. Bodega flowers, quick decomposition. Men with faces so chocolate you gotta make a song about them and shout it on the 6 train. Pennies, hospital bracelets with your name, date of birth, knowing who you are without instruction. Breathe. Okay, try again. Nostrand Avenue. Forgetting your government and becoming brown girl on Macon Street. Wheat beer, Sankofa Aban, shea butter for your hair, brownstones on brownstones, looking up at all the visible stars, 7, and saying, I guess I'm still here. Beer, the good kind, feeling blood on your busted lip. It's okay, you're still here. Lilith's brood, how one story becomes another thing, then another, then too much, then just blood. 9 calls from your mother, 9 calls from your father. It's okay, I'm still here. Yes, you are. Unexpected sunlight, Cocoa butter on your lip, you bit your lip. You did it on purpose. You kept on your bracelet, you will take it off. Hot dinner, half-cut ginger root, Earth, Wind, and Fire album covers, your breath in Brooklyn, just now, just this small act, this staying here.
Can I take a picture?
Quick history lesson, but first we need to take a selfie with y'all.
Yeah, let me take a selfie. Hold on.
Selfie nation.
Okay.
So before we go, we're gonna give you a cute little history lesson, right? And then we're gonna do a 5-minute Q&A. So if you got some questions, we'll take them. But this is that.
Yep.
This is that. Thanks so much.
The Q&A, ask us anything. I don't really care.
There is a freshness to the silence after the crack of a pistol.
Right before the barrage of questions, right then,
Everyone realizes the vastness of loss and of how you can't take it back.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
and Malcolm X speak from the grave.
As a man of God,
As a man of men, as a
son of man and God, you must know that they speak separate languages.
You must know to bind calendars to your tongue. Men speak in matters of moments. Never regard your logic with God. Your brain is an abstract marble.
It cannot replace the protection of a heartbeat or the goosebump of what is just wrong.
I made love to these streets. Did my best, black man trot, held the post hostage. I wasn't hungry for peace. Found enough of that in a Charleston jail cell.
I was hungry for noise and I made some. At 15, I borrowed Gandhi's wisdom tooth and the spirit of a southern blaze. There is humility in knowing you were meant for an assassin's bullet. We knew the FBI was watching. They recorded everything in our house. Even put bugs under the lampshades. Our light couldn't move without them knowing.
You want them to feel you, you make them see you.
You said,
strike back.
I said, love them. How do you throw a fist at a water hose when the Lord tells you to turn the other cheek? Your face becomes a sacrifice, a slaughtered animal in the promise of a harvest.
What have we but flesh? I refuse to barter skin for breath, not when they both belong to me.
Non-violence is the climb you make without knowing the ladder is
You
there.
only know that the mountain has moved if you can feel it.
Progression is active preservation. You limit me, I limit you back. You hurt mine, I hurt yours back. If I'm armed with nothing but prayer and I can walk past a burning cross, then silence is a superpower. A boycott so deep the buses stop themselves. Be peaceful.
Be courteous.
Obey the law.
Respect everyone. But if someone puts his hands on you, you send him to the cemetery.
When a state trooper calls you boy, you teach him manhood.
When a state trooper calls you boy, you reduce him to resentment and kneecap.
Change requires an audible rejection. When a state trooper calls you boy, you smile like a city. They kept us apart, separate. We were church and mosque.
Audubon Ballroom and Lorraine Motel
Together, we could have been the patriarchs of a bridge, the implosion of a galaxy.
They made us believe that we were the cultural antithesis of brotherhood.
Brotherhood is not always fighting for the same reason, but it is always fighting for the same conclusion. It is always that struggle for reclaiming the power without exhausting the source. We must live together as brothers or perish as fools. We cannot know the meaning of cleanse unless we drink from the same fountain. Whether you arrive at water through ice or cloud, the point is to fill the glass. They've been trying to keep us half empty. We have the bullet wounds to prove it.